What is up, YouTube? What's up, family? What's up, newcomers? We are reacting to episodes that will make you hate Mordecai. My favorite character, probably Rigby. But
I think it's pretty clear that Regular Show has one of the best casts out of any animated show in history. I remember when I first started watching this show, I thought the characters not only had unique designs, but also had interesting personalities that made them all stand out. And as I got older, I started to feel like I really resonated with many of the characters more than when I was watching as a kid. But even though I love many of these characters in this show, there's always been one character that I've always had a weird relationship with, and that was Mordecai. Because if I'm being honest, when I first started watching this show, Mordecai was one of my favorite characters, especially in the earlier seasons. But I remember as the show would start to get into the later seasons, even though I couldn't exactly put my finger on what it was, I would begin to really dislike Mordecai as a character. And it was only after I revisited Regular Show again now that I'm in my 20s that I was able to realize something that was so obvious. Mordecai kinda sucks. And after I realized this, you wouldn't believe my surprise when I found out that I'm not the only one who feels this way, as a large portion of the Regular Show fan base really hate Mordecai. And while he still has his fans, it seems like many of them, as well as casual watchers, don't understand the Mordo hate train. So in this video, I'm gonna go over a couple episodes that really made me and will probably make you hate Mordecai. Now, something that gets looked over a lot when people talk about Mordecai's character is just how scummy of a friend he really was. And look,
and he really is. Cause look, the nigga killed his best friend over a thotty that don't really care for you. Because I remember that episode where she was in the movies with this other white person, her boyfriend, and. But what, like I tell y'all, watch out for the friends like that. Okay, if you have to cut off the snakes, go ahead and just cut them off before it's too late. All right, because that's crazy. Like, you gonna snake. Cause look, I get the term bros before the hoes, but then at the same time, if I do, whenever have my wife, I'm not gonna spend more time with y'all than my wife.
Look, don't get me wrong, Mordecai does have moments where he's actually a good friend. For example, when he won the Excellent Challenge so that he could win the trucker hat for Rigby to get him out of his coma.
Yeah.
But while Mordecai does do some big things like this that make him seem like a good friend, a lot of people ignore his day-by-day trash behavior. Let's take a look at how he treats Rigby, for example. And no, I'm not going to use the infamous I'll kill you scene from the episode It's Time as the knock against him. Because what a lot of people forget about that scene is while Mordecai did push Rigby off the microwave, Rigby pushed Mordecai first, and Rigby was the reason they were even on the microwave, as Rigby jumped on Mordecai's back as the microwave was warping. On top of that, Mordecai screaming out "I'll kill you" wasn't supposed to be taken serious, as Rigby had told that to Mordecai multiple times throughout season 1. And clearly the instant regret Mordecai had on his face when he saw Rigby fade into nothing showed that he wasn't intentionally trying to hurt Rigby. Or at least he wasn't in that moment, because if we go to the season 1 episode Death Punchies, it tells a completely different story. The episode starts off with Rigby and Mordecai getting a new video game, and obviously after getting the new game, they want to start it up and start playing. And right as the two go to pick their characters, they begin to argue over who's going to be player 1. Both of them want to be player 1 because player 1 has a shovel, while player 2 has a quote-unquote sucky pickaxe. So to settle who gets to be player 1, Mordecai suggests that they both play punchies.
Yeah, now, if you watch the show, Mordecai will always do that. We all know Rigby is the weakest one. Even Pops beat him in punchies. Now, I do remember this one episode where he was trying to arm wrestle with everybody until he got this sting, and he just connected it. He connected the sting to his wrist. Then he beat everybody, blah, blah, blah. He beat Skips because it was like, wait, hold on. I know I'm not losing my powers. Then he just did this. Death, he picked him up through the table. Boom. He was in the coma. Yeah.
A game where whoever punches the other one the hardest wins. Rigby goes first by throwing his punch, which doesn't even faze Mordecai. Mordecai then takes his turn by punching Rigby all the way across the sofa with the biggest smile on his face. Rigby then complains about how it's unfair that every time they have to decide something, Mordecai makes them play punchies, because he knows there's no way that he can beat Mordecai. The episode then follows Rigby as he tries to find a way to beat Mordecai in punchies. He then learns a Death Kwon-Do technique called the Death Punch and prepares to rematch Mordecai. But Mordecai learns about Rigby's plan and goes to the same Death Kwon-Do dojo to learn a technique to keep keep Rigby from beating him at punchies.
Uh-huh.
The two then have a Def Kwon-Do showdown as Rigby uses the Def Punch and Mordecai uses the Def Block. And as you could guess, Mordecai's Def Block cancels out Rigby's Def Punch, leaving them both at a stalemate. But Rigby doesn't give up, continuing to spam the Def Punch over and over to the point where him and Mordecai are in an underground crater with lava flowing in. And while Mordecai is telling Rigby to stop, Rigby refuses until he beats Mordecai at punchies. It's then that we get a montage of Mordecai beating up Rigby throughout the years through several games of punchies. And when Mordecai realizes that Rigby won't stop until he wins a game of punchies, Mordecai lets him win and they both escape. Okay, now, so let's take a look at how Mordecai treats his friend in this episode. So we know from this episode that Mordecai openly acknowledges that Rigby is the weakest person in the park. Because when Rigby says that he can never beat Mordecai at punchies, Mordecai says this:
"Dude, you don't beat anybody at punchies."
Now from this clip, it's obvious that Mordecai not only knows that his friend is physically weaker than him, but also takes advantage of the fact that he can physically bully Rigby around. Mordecai purposely picks a game that he knows that Rigby could never beat him in so that he can consistently have his way. But not only does he beat Rigby at punchies, he takes joy in the fact that he can physically beat up Rigby. I mean, look at this clip. Does this look like someone who's just playing a game with their friend? And we see in this episode that Mordecai consistently beats up Rigby to the point where Rigby would rather die being burnt by lava than let Mordecai win another game of punchies. And the craziest part is, this isn't even the worst time Mordecai was a complete jerk to Rigby. In the season 6 episode Live With Your Back, we see that Mordecai and Rigby are working when CJ pulls up to pick up Mordecai early. Mordecai then asks Rigby if he can cover for him so that he can go with his girlfriend, and Rigby, trying to be a good friend, says yes. We then cut to another day where Mordecai and Rigby are working, and Mordecai asks Rigby out the blue if he can cover for him so that he can take CJ to a movie. Rigby being...
See, but that's the thing, see? You can't let nobody take your kindness for weakness now. It's cool if somebody doing you a favor, they ask you for a favor and you say yeah the first time. But if you do it again, I'm just going to say no. Because first off, she probably cheating on you anyway. And you a simp. And you making me do this hard work. That we working at a park knowing that this dumb manager, Benson, is going to fire us after we do all this other stuff that we tell him by the end of the show. So why would I waste my time at a park doing more work than usual, getting paid probably $7 an hour or under, just for you to go to the movies, don't even plan on doing nothing with her, and then you just say to yourself, as soon as you take her home, you're like, man, I should have really, wow, I should have really kissed her, or I should have held her hand. But guess what? You didn't because you're too shy and too scared.
Being a little bit more reluctant this time, still agrees and says yes. We then cut to yet another day of Mordecai asking Rigby if he can cover for him again so that he can go do something with CJ. And Rigby, even though he doesn't want to, still trying to be a good friend, says yes. We then cut to a park meeting where Benton's handing out everybody assignments. And Benton tells Mordecai that he needs him to help Rigby change light bulbs, to which Rigby says that he can do it on his own. Rigby is then laughed at by everybody and is told without Mordecai he would be completely useless. And Rigby, looking for his best friend to back him up and say that he's useful, has to sit in front of everybody and hear this.
You're basically the opposite of useful pretty much anytime we do anything.
But that's not even the craziest part about this moment. The craziest part is when Rigby brings up how he's been covering for Mordecai for almost a week now. Mordecai says this.
Well, I mean, it's the least you could do.
Like, there's genuinely no way I could be friends with someone after
it's
they
the least I can do?
Rigby ends up quitting his job at the park, and he ends up getting a job at a moving company where you have to lift everything with your back. And even though Rigby does hate the job, he's sticking through with this so that he can get his first paycheck to rub in Mordecai's face to show that he actually is useful. At the end of the episode, Rigby has to move an entire truck by himself to get his first paycheck. And Eileen, who's been supporting Rigby throughout this entire time...
And you know what that just reminded me of? Shout out to all y'all Amazon workers, all the warehouse workers. Because moving them boxes is pros and cons to everything. Like, yeah, you're going to get stronger naturally. But just either you're going to be in the heat moving the boxes or in the cold. Both don't really benefit you. I don't really know your pay. I hope your pay is pretty good. But then just think about it. Wow. America. We live in the American dream, guys. Ding. You can't even survive off 20 an hour.
time
I don't
brings
know how
Mordecai because
y'all.
she wants them to make up. Rigby then begins to argue with Mordecai, saying that Mordecai only uses him and treats him like trash.
Rigby, help me get a girlfriend. Let me borrow your time machine, Rigby. Rigby, I found a dumb sweater and I gotta return it. All you do is use me, man.
But I never asked you to do those things.
And the craziest part about Mordecai saying this is, if you've watched all the regular show, you know that he's lying. Mordecai consistently asks favors from Rigby, and Rigby, oftentimes trying to be a good friend, tries to help Mordecai out. But Mordecai is so self-centered that even when someone is consistently doing favors for them, he will look them in their eyes and tell them that's the least that they can do. And I think what I hate most about this episode is that although Eileen had good intentions, she says this.
Eileen, why'd you bring that guy here?
Because you guys are friends and you always support each other.
But the problem with this statement is, it's not true. Mordecai almost never supports Rigby when it's actually something important. Let's jump all the way to the season 7 finale, Rigby's graduation day special. One of the many plot points of season 7 was Rigby going back to school so that he could finally graduate. And this episode follows Rigby as he prepares to give a graduation day speech and the rest of the park members preparing for Rigby's graduation day party. And throughout this episode, you see that everybody's all excited for Rigby. Everybody's doing their best to make sure that Rigby has the best graduation party. Everybody's so happy except for Mordecai. Mordecai throughout this episode is consistently blowing off Rigby. He's consistently acting like he doesn't want to help with Rigby's graduation party. And when Rigby reaches out to...
Hey, I remember my graduation. That was crazy. But I'm very happy. And like I said, like, I'm happy I never peaked in high school. You know, like, all of the popular girls, they pregnant. All of the popular niggas, they doing bad in their life. I'm telling you, it's always the smart, low-key, quiet ones. Just people who beat it themselves, really. I don't know what the anime... I really don't know what the anime kids are doing right now. I hope they're doing good. But yeah, all of the popular girls I seen pregnant. Which ain't really nothing wrong with that. It's just, why would you get pregnant by a lame nigga or a bum nigga that don't care for you? And I don't really get y'all women's psychological brain analogy, because if you have to treat them like the opposite. If you treat them like a goddess or a queen, she'll never even look to you. Don't be nice. Don't do nothing. You just have to be rude and mean at first. But then it's like, once you do get into the relationship, then if you start ignoring her, doing all that, she gonna cry and try to break up with you. It's kind of weird.
Mordecai multiple times.
How was your graduation?
Graduation day speech. Mordecai tells Rigby that he needs to learn how to do stuff on his own and blows him off. Even though Rigby had been doing stuff on his own for almost the entire season. And it's only after Rigby completely fails at giving his speech the first time around, almost embarrassing himself in front of everybody that he knows, that Mordecai actually comes up to Rigby and tells him why.
Oh yeah, okay, you see, I was just so busy yapping. I wasn't really paying attention to the graduation. So I remember my graduation, I was up like at 4 a.m., 5 a.m. We had to be at like 6 or 7. It was pretty cool. I mean, like I say, I'm happy I never really peaked in high school. Even though I still had the baddies, and I know what y'all females gonna say. Dreadheads do it the best, they love the dreadheads. But guess what? I was still getting girls before the dread. So that's really, that actually is a false claim, false accusations. That's really false accusations, because you don't, hair does make you, but it really doesn't. Because I was getting baddies with a high top or even... But off topic, the thing what I hated about the graduation was we was in the sun. We wasn't even in the room. The sun was literally on us. Then they was playing this American thing. We all know that song. Dun, 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 blah, blah, blah. My last name start with an S. It was almost to the end, so yeah. And then, fast forward.
Why he's been acting the way he's been acting. And this was Mordecai's whole justification of why he's been blowing off his best friend on one of the most important days of his life.
It's hard to see you doing so great. I guess I always kind of liked that I was doing better than you before.
Mordecai liked the fact that he was better than Rigby. And when Rigby looked like he was going to be on the same level as Mordecai, Mordecai couldn't handle it. Now tell me, does that actually sound like a real friend, someone that you would want to have around you, or does that just sound like a hater disguised as a friend? Rigby's graduation day should have had nothing to do with Mordecai. It should have been a celebration of Rigby's hard work and accomplishments. But all Mordecai could think about is how it makes him look worse by comparison. But I
mean, I don't really think I watched the finale. I'm surprised the nigga even graduated, because I remember when he tried to make some rig juice to make him smarter, then they almost destroyed the whole planet. So clap it up for Rigby, guys.
Mordecai will take something that has nothing to do with him and try to make it completely revolve around him. In the season 6 finale dumped at the altar, the episode starts off with Mordecai confused about what to do after he finds out that Margaret has feelings for him, even though he's with CJ. Mind you, while Mordecai's focusing on a love triangle, everybody's preparing for Muscle Man's wedding.
Guys, listen. I know I'm pausing it, but guess what? My real, true supporters, they love to hear me out. If y'all are new, because I get new people watching my stuff every day. I'm very happy y'all clicking the like button, y'all watching it. But let me see if this camera on. Okay. But I remember, right? And this was last year. It was crazy because I was in the same situation with Mordecai, right? It was two baddies that liked me at the same time, and they would just always go on my TikTok lives. So, girl A, she met me first on TikTok, blah, 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 blah. Boom. And then girl 2 met me on TikTok when girl 1 was never there. Fast forward, blah, blah, blah. They told me to choose out of one of them. I didn't know which one to choose. I said, hey, I wanted both of you. Come on, let me just get both. Like, for real. I could make both of y'all my wife, but I don't really think that's, yeah. Yeah, that's not gonna work. But yeah, that was it. Then they followed each other, and yeah, we just never talked again. That was pretty crazy. But I love both of them. Whoever y'all with now, hey, I hope y'all have a great relationship. Yeah.
We then fast forward to the actual day of the wedding, and Mordecai's still caught up on his love triangle, even though he's supposed to be helping set up for the wedding. Fast forward again in the episode, and Muscle Man is freaking out because he says he won't get married until he reads the letter that Muscle Dad wrote for him. Mordecai and Rigby are then assigned to go to Muscle Man's trailer and find the actual letter. And while looking for the letter, Mordecai talks to Rigby about his relationship issues, and Rigby tells Mordecai that he just needs to trust his gut. The two end up finding the letter and rush back to the ceremony to give it to Muscle Man to read. But Muscle Man is so emotional, he says that Mordecai has to be the one to read it to him out loud. And Mordecai does read the letter, which then gives Muscle Man the strength to start the wedding back up again. But before they can continue the ceremony, Mordecai hijacks the...
Hey, I ain't gonna lie. Alright. I was born a freak, for real. Like, Darla, these are the hear me out characters. Darla, CJ, whoever the red one, I forgot. And then, yeah, it used to be the Chipmunks. I used to have a crush on them, too. It was just a lot. And then, wait, what was it? It was Day-Day's dad girlfriend off of Next Friday. Yeah, she bad, too.
The wedding by grabbing a microphone and going on a rant about finding his true love and not knowing if his soulmate is even in the audience. Mind you, his girlfriend is literally in the audience listening and watching all of this happen. And as you could guess, CJ gets up and storms out crying. And Muscle Man calls out Mordecai for hijacking his wedding while everybody's looking at Mordecai like the jerk he is. Because this man didn't know which girl he wanted to be with, even though he already had a girlfriend. And his best friend Rigby told him to trust his gut. He thought the best thing to do was to hijack one of his closest friend's weddings after reading the emotional message that his dead dad wrote for him for his wedding day. I don't know about y'all, but I don't think it gets any more self-centered than that. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I can't even understand how I used to like Mordecai as a character. And what I think the worst part about Mordecai's character is, he never really gets any real repercussions for the stuff that he does. Like, even after he hijacked Muscle Man's wedding, nobody really told him anything. And it's like Mordecai acts like a jerk time after time again, and he just says, "I'm sorry for it," and the audience is supposed to just take that. Look, all I can say is we're Team Rigby over here. But if you made it to the end of the video, please hit the like button as it pushes the content out to more people. And make sure to subscribe and hit the noti bell to be notified when I upload my next video. And
alright, let me see this camera on. Alright, yeah, I know y'all keep seeing me looking to the right, because like, I'm trying to see the camera on. Because this happened before. I was in the middle of recording a video, and then the camera shut off. And because look, the thing is, it don't make no sound. So I don't really know if it's on recording and then I'm just talking to myself, then I just had to delete that whole video, which pissed me off, and I had to make a whole another one. So yeah. But yeah, I hope y'all learned a lot. Watch out for the snakes, alright? Girls or men. It be the niggas, especially like they be in your circle. Like basically just surround yourself with who you wanna be. Right? You wanna make some money, go ahead and find you some people in your niche. Right? YouTube, drop shipping, whatever. Right? Because it always be the low down niggas that just want you to stay down with them. Cause like they know that you gonna be better than them, but they just prevent that basically. I'm actually running out of breath because every time when I yap, I just run out of breath. But yeah, but like for real though, cause I remember what Mike Epps said. He said, cause when he was starting up his acting career, all the homies that was in his hometown like, no, just drink with us, party with us. He felt so bad, cause like, why am I doing this? Then he just elevated, blah blah. But I hope y'all learned. And girls, remember what Lucky said. I mean, girls, topic. Man, remember what Lucky said. Stay away from ridiculously pretty girls, cause that's actually a fact. Don't get yourself caught up into no love triangle, cause that's not really worth it. Focus on the money. Everything will come to you. If a thotty come up to you, reject it or whatever. Do whatever you want. You better just don't catch nothing. And I'm out. See y'all next video.